Hey guys, welcome to Cooking with Chase. Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. Enjoyed some of that beautiful weather we had on Saturday here in London, if you're around these parts. Today we are making and talking about burritos. So, grab a drink and let's get cooking. Okay, so, burritos. Great way to kind of use up a bunch of things that's in the fridge. So, virtually everything here can be subbed out with other things. The things that I wouldn't want to get rid of are the rice. Some type of protein, though if you're a vegetarian you can put eggs in it and do an egg burrito kind of thing. But basically, other than the rice and the tortilla and the cheese, kind of go and switch out whatever you want. So today we are going to be using some ground beef that I got up. Possibly, depending on how big they get. I had some leftover Brussels sprouts in the fridge. I might throw them in. We'll see how big these contraptions get. But any veg that you have in the fridge left over, great to use up. These radish garnish from the I was using last week are getting a little old, so I'm just going to drain them, throw all the radishes in there to use them up. This is a coleslaw, cabbage kind of dressing thing, which I know someone requested. We'll do a recipe for that. Just didn't have quite enough time today. But I highly recommend using a cabbage like a coleslaw as opposed to lettuce. Because lettuce in burritos is terrible. Because it's just a steamy tube of hot lettuce, right? So on a burger, air can get around it, do it, and you kind of eat it quick. A burrito, it's like you're rolling lettuce up with that hot thing, sealing the ends, and we're going to put it in a pan to seal. By the time you eat it, it's just like hot, soggy lettuce, which I'm not a fan of. Also, over here we've got the rice. They've kind of cooked. And let me know if you want me to talk about how I cooked the rice, if you guys are struggling with that. Like, I don't know if you guys have rice makers, if that's something that's confusing. Whatever. Comment, I can bring it up if needed. And then these are some really awesome refried beans I made from scratch, which I'll kind of go through really quickly. These could just be a can of beans that you drain, throw in your burrito. You could buy refried beans if you have those in your cupboard. If you want to know how to make these, I can kind of let you know, or there's tons of recipes online, but I love refried beans in burrito. And they're kind of a nice glue to hold everything together. And then the only thing you kind of really want to go through making today, because this is something I think you should kind of have on hand if you're doing a burrito, and it's super easy, but there's a couple little tricks, is like a lime crema or like sour cream with lime. Actually, we had full fat yogurt and lime, which works just as well. Really nice sauce for the burrito, and I prefer it in rather than kind of dipping it on top. So, let's.
Good.
Oh, we're back. Okay, so we're going to go into the sour cream crema. So, I keep saying sour cream because that's what we'd use if we had it. We actually have full fat yogurt, so we're just going to use that. And one thing you want to be cautious of, not cautious, but aware of when you're dealing with sour cream or yogurts is the more you move them around, the looser they become. So to maintain this thickness, you can see in here that liquid, that's the whey. That's a byproduct of it's a byproduct of making yogurt and cheeses. It's the water in milk basically that doesn't bond and form into your curd, your yogurt, or your cheese. So the more you agitate it, the more that's activated. So whenever you're kind of making sauce, you just kind of really want to be careful just to scoop it out. Right? And like that's how it stays nice and thick. A lot of people when they get their yogurt, they'll see that on top and they'll mix that in, trying to reincorporate it, and then their yogurt, and it's fine if you don't mind that, I'm just letting you know why that happens, is your yogurt will never be as thick. So you get that Balkan style, or really 3.5%, whatever. Super thick, you give it a stir, and then it always feels like, or looks as thin as that like 1% vanilla yogurt. That's why you broke down the kind of structure of the yogurt, and it's released all of the whey, and it just thins it out. So if you want a really nice thick kind of sour cream sauce, just be like, you can see how thick this is holding up in the bowl. If I stirred that around, it would just fall, which is not going to ruin the taste. I didn't know that. Get this in the fridge. I'm going to zest a lime into here, because the zest and the juice of citrus in general, two different tastes, I've mentioned this before, The juice is where all the acid is. The lime is the zest is where all like that floral notes is. So like the smell of like lime zest is the smell of what the juice tastes like. That's when people talk about floral elements. I don't really know how to describe it. That's what I was thinking about it. And that seemed the best way to me. It's kind of like if you smell the flower and it smelled like lime, the juice of that flower with the lime is what it tastes like. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't really know how else to explain it. Yeah, so just juice one lime. Careful not to go into the pith. See how it's still kind of green? The second you get into the white stuff, it's really bitter. I pulled out 2 limes. I changed my mind. I'm just going to do 1. Then we're going to juice it. And before you juice any citrus, you don't want to get as much. You just want to roll it really, really aggressively. And that breaks down the cell structure in the lime. So all those little cells, and like pre-juices it almost. Here, I just got a little strainer to catch the seeds if there are any. Toss that in the sink now. There. Now a touch of salt. And into this, if you had a chipotle powder or paprika, all that would be fantastic in it. You just really want to go light with the mixing. So I'm just incorporating it. Then that's it. Taste for seasoning. We're not looking for heavily salted or anything. It should be citrusy and creamy, right? Because it's just to kind of balance out all of those strong spices of the beef and, you know, the refried beans, all of that stuff. So that's really all we're looking for there. But it should always be seasoning for food. Then squeeze bottles. It's just easier to put on. It's actually a really nice way to store it in the fridge. We don't have a funnel. In the restaurant, obviously, I'd have a funnel to keep this a little neater. I'm just going to make a big mess in front of you guys. Fantastic. Should have picked a bottle with a bigger opening. There we go. And then, okay, so now we're kind of good to start assembling our burrito. And I'm going to roll 2 burritos. One is a single tortilla, which is kind of for a Tyler or a child-sized portion. And then I'm going to show you guys how they roll, like, if you go to like a burrito shop, they roll the really big ones, and they get massive burritos, like 14-inch things. You can mimic that at home, and I'll do another one to show you guys how.
Good.
Good. I'm just going to chop up some tomato really quick.
What's going on with the unit? Okay, good.
I'm just going to chop up a tomato really thinly, or cube it or whatever. Some people like salsa. There's a lot of liquidy things in this burrito already. So I'm just going to kind of use some chopped tomatoes. Okay. Grab a little bowl. Not tomato. Too small. Alright, we're going to start building here. And that's the kind of thing with this. It's like everything, not everything, but most things I talked to you about. You know, get everything prepped, everything's laid out. I made most of this stuff fresh this afternoon. So that my rice is still warm, my refried beans are still warm, all that stuff is still kind of warm. You don't want to be pulling ingredients from the fridge and rolling a burrito because it will never warm up just on the skillet. So if you're like, let's say you made rice the night before, you have leftovers, you want to do burritos tonight or fajitas or whatever, just microwave the rice or warm it up in the stove. You know, microwave. Get at least the rice hot and the meat hot. If your other components are cold, that should be enough heat with like hot rice, hot meat to kind of warm things up through. And your goal is to have this like steaming hot burrito, but it shouldn't be like refrigerated cold in the middle. So, okay. So I've got tortilla here. You're going to start off with your cheese. Is always your first layer down, because you want that really melty, right? So you want that as closest to the heat as possible, which is on the outside of the tortilla, right? This is your outside, the shell. Everything is building up to the center. So your next component you want to go with is your rice. And this is so it absorbs all the saucy bits, right? And like most things in life, it takes less than you expect, especially for these small ones, right? The next component I would go with is some of these beautiful refried beans, which are absolutely gorgeous. Then I'd hit up some meat. Spoon here. Oh, happy birthday, Lori, by the way. Hope you're watching today. You know that celebrating you're there. Great. Well, happy birthday to you. Thanks for tuning in every day. It means a lot. There. Got some of this nice coleslaw. This is just, again, I'm going to go over coleslaw, not next week, the week after. Just quickly break it down. This is just a little vinegar, thinly sliced cabbage, green onions, and mayo. And the only trick to it is you want to salt it for about 10 minutes before you mix in your mayo. That just helps extract some of the liquid out of the coleslaw, and it maintains that crunch, right?
That is next week. We'll be going over that.
Next week. I apologize.
And a question,
Yep.
actually, from birthday girl Lori.
Birthday girl Lori.
What kind of meat did you use?
So this is ground beef. Actually, we were really fortunate. My parents, they've got a family friend, Rick Secco. He has a hobby farm. So they get, and we usually end up getting some meat as well. He does kind of a couple cows every year. Some like amazing ground beef. Me and Ty tried it just before the show started, and we're like, oh my god, so much better than store-bought stuff. But it was just ground beef, and I just sauteed it with a bunch of onions and garlic, some paprika, a bit of cumin, some oregano, kind of those chili spices. If you had chili powder, just saute with that. And if you had a meat that was like already cooked, like let's say you had some like leftover chicken, just you could shred it up, put some barbecue sauce on it. Would be great, right? Yeah, so the only reason I'm using these radishes is just because I have them. Not necessary. They're a nice crunch, right? But whatever.
And the meat could be anything. It doesn't have to be ground beef.
Absolutely. It could be pork chops that you didn't have that you thinly sliced. You just want it thinly sliced. You don't want to put like a whole chicken breast or like a whole piece of pork. You want it thinly sliced or shredded. So when you eat it, you kind of just bite through it. Like if you have, because the danger is you got a whole chicken breast, you bite it, you pull, and you pull out that whole piece of meat with you, right? That's kind of the only. So whatever it is should just be small. Oh, sorry, almost forgot. And then again, just because I have them, then I think is this next week or week after?
Next week as well.
Next week as well is pickled onions. I'm going to do a whole class on how to pickle, but just going to throw some pickled onions in there. I'm quite happy with those. They're nice crunch. They're a little sweet, a little acidic. I almost forgot to put on. Jeez, careful today. And then our sour cream sauce. There we go. And a couple of tomatoes. Jeez, it's getting full. No Brussels sprouts. No Brussels sprouts. Okay, so rolling a burrito. This is kind of, and I'm not claiming to be the world's best roller of burritos. But this is how I do it. So you really want to get it sealed. So you're going to pull it in closer than you expect, right? And then with this, you're kind of pushing all the ingredients in to get everything really, really tight. And then you want to fold these corners down so it's all sealed. So I'm just kind of compressing that or folding that in until it's sealed, and then you're going to roll that ahead. So you got a nice little package there. And you can see mine's not totally perfect. a little wider on one end, that's okay. And then from here, I've got a preheated skillet that's just sitting on medium heat. And this is where I think most home cooks don't get it right, because tortillas are made of 4 ingredients: white flour, some type of fat, oil or pork fat, salt, and water. So I didn't have to put any oil in that or anything like that. The fat will release that, will act as a lubricant and release it from the pan, but that will also seal your burrito. So right now I'm actually creating a really strong seal to keep this from falling apart when you eat it. So I think that's for most home cooks. Like I said, kind of like don't know why they're eating it, everything's falling apart. It's that they're not sealing up their burrito. Okay, so that's just going there. You know, you can tell this is a real salty adventure, so I'm just going to clean this up so I don't get on the outside of my next burrito. Another wipe. I'm going to show you how to roll, because, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if Trevor's watching, but like me and Trevor would crush like 3 of these. So I'm going to show you how to roll like one of the big burritos. I don't even know if Trevor likes burritos. Laurel? Trevor like burritos? Okay, so now we're going adult sized. So you actually take 2 tortillas and you just layer them like this. And you're going to go through the exact same process. Now, you know, it's a little bit more of an advanced roll because you're dealing with kind of 2 different burritos, so I'm really hoping this works out for me here. But again, I'm not claiming to be like, you know, work in a burrito shop, burrito roller. I'm just a thicker man trying to make a big burrito at home. That's all I'm trying to make here. Okay, so the same combination. I almost got Tyler to laugh at that one, guys. My entire goal of this show is for you to hear cackle from behind the camera there. Obviously bump up the amount of your ingredients, right? I'll talk about these beans for a second because we have time. So, refried beans are amazing. Out of a can, they are less so amazing. So, these are actually red kidney beans because I didn't have black ones, and it's the first time I've ever done that, and like they're better. So, whatever color beans, like butter beans, white kidney beans, red beans, black beans, if you have, will all work for refried bean. All I did was I sauteed about 3 strips of thick bacon, so about 4 or 5 thin ones. Cut up small, in a little bit of oil, and just rendered them down. Ooh, sorry, 1 second here. Alright, perfect. Yeah. So now you can see that was the seam originally, right? And is holding together. So that's what you're really looking for here. Just gonna continue to let that go. Okay, beef. So I rendered out about 3 or 4 strips of bacon, pulled it off, the crispy bits, and then into that fat I added paprika, a little cumin, some whole cloves of garlic, cooked those out for a while, right? Then I drained my beans, added some beans into it with some chicken stock, cooked it for about 15-20 minutes, and then just pureed it. With a hand blender, you can mash them with a fork if you want to keep them more rustic. I wouldn't put them in a blender. It would work them too much. But they're friggin' awesome. And, you know, you guys see, we're not afraid of fat in this house. I'm building mine right now. This is my dinner, so I'm going a little heavy with the refried beans because I like it. Meat, oop, beans there. Hello. Oh, in there. Use up the rest of these. Because we have been on a real mission not to be throwing out food, which hasn't always been easy, right? Because we're doing a different meal every night, so for 5 days a week. So it can be challenging because, you know, leftovers. So anyway, it's been a real challenge, but we've been really proud of us for, you know, not throwing out a whole bunch of food. Okay, coleslaw. Some onions here. burrito. Okay. So you guys got nice golden brown. I really want to toast this bottom to keep that seal, right? You got a beautiful little burrito there. Finish up this big boy, which is kind of embarrassingly large right now, but I've got no shame. No shame in my game. I love pickled onions, so I'm going heavy on them. Where did I put that hot sauce? Oh. And then I really like spicy food, so I'm adding some of this stuff. Oh, Marley, I know it's almost dinner time.
Tomatoes?
You know, I'm not going to add the tomatoes to mine. Because I did the hot sauce and I don't want too saucy. We'll go on this. Okay, so now we're going to try to roll this monstrosity up. Wish me luck, guys. Okay, so it's that same process, right? Oh my god. Doing it. Okay, tucking all this in. Some of it came out, that's okay, I will leave that. Put it into a pan. And then you got the adult size burrito. Okay. So, I mean, we don't need to see this toast, guys, you just saw it done. I'll call it after that. If you want to do this a little, if you're doing it for a party, you know, I'll just show you. Or you're doing them ahead of time and you're taking them to the park for a picnic. Something like that. This is also nice for eating. Little tin foil. Keeps it warm. Also when you're eating it, you can kind of peel it back and it collects all the sauce at the bottom there. Make some burritos. Seal them on the skillet. Make some refried beans. I kind of wish I'd gone over that rather than sour cream crema, but it's a bit of a time-consuming thing, just in terms of like rendering of the bacon, and all the beans, pureeing. I don't know if I have time. It's okay. Okay, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you're cooking along or making the recipes, be sure to tag me Chase Bros. Hashtag Cooking with Chase. Stay home, stay safe, eat well. See you tomorrow. Okay, bye guys.